Welcome to another episode of Evolution, Nova Scotia's martial arts. I am your host, Dwayne Robicheau. In feudal Japan, a martial art emerged as a means to combat the samurai when one was unarmed and in close quarters against them. It was the birth of Ju-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu journeyed through time, spreading its influence everywhere through Japan and Asia. Then in 1925, the first Jiu-Jitsu school in Brazil was opened, and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was born. It has evolved to become one of the leading martial arts in the world today. If the term guard and mount, triangle choke, and of course cauliflower ears mean something to you, then tonight you are in for a real treat. Tonight on Evolution, we journey to two locations, Lance, Nova Scotia, and North End, Halifax, where we found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being studied with enthusiastic dedication. Tonight on Evolution, get ready to be choked out, because it's tap out time, with Bulldog Martial Arts and the Halifax Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Society. How did your journey begin with Jiu-Jitsu?
It began for me while working down on one of the military bases in town. There was a retired military intelligence officer who was teaching a judo class, actually, after work. So I joined in with him, did that for a few years, and then after he stopped training, I had to look for something to fill that void, and Jiu-Jitsu was it for me.
Excellent answer. What's your favorite part of Jiu-Jitsu? You're so involved, you're a director. What brings you back all the time?
For me, nowadays, I find it's a lot to do with the social and just being here with what is growing to be my family here, and I just love all the people and all the energy I get to put out and that they give back to me. It's a really amazing thing.
You've been directing and teaching, leading on. You're going to continue on with this. What's your next step?
That's a good question. We're looking to keep focusing, keep growing the school, keep making tighter connections with our HQ in New York, bringing them down, getting our students to come visit them, and just watching those grow.
Speaking of growth, in Nova Scotia and the Maritimes, you're seeing an upsurge of Jiu-Jitsu, is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. It's getting more and more popular with the rise of UFC, and then and people just want to be a part of it.
As a martial art, we got to look at self-defense. Speak to that. Talk about self-defense, the aspects of Jiu-Jitsu. Many people out there are looking for something to get into, for the confidence. The streets aren't as safe as they used to be. People need something more. Is Jiu-Jitsu the answer?
You know what? Yes and no. I believe in a sense that self-defense is a myth, and that we can talk about hypothetical situations till the end of time. But the reality is, whatever gives you the confidence to hold your head high and be aware of your surroundings can be infinite more powerful than any series of techniques.
Many people looking at the cost of sports today, getting people involved in activities, especially children's, big families, even 2 or 3 kids. Yeah. How expensive is Jiu-Jitsu in comparison to other sports?
When we opened, we did a lot of research onto what everyone else is charging and tried to be very fair in that regard. We charge just as much as any yoga studio would, and we also make concessions for students that are having financial difficulties. For instance, one of our students recently just had a health issue in his family that keeps him off the mat, so we extended a 1-year membership to him. Just whenever you're available, come out, train with us, just to support our people, our family, you know?
That's right. You got to support one another in order for things to grow.
Absolutely.
Going forward, there's competitions, there's training. We got a whole generation of athletes and young people that are looking for something. Jiu-Jitsu can be a benefit for them. Is that correct?
100%. Jiu-Jitsu is an incredible outlet to just get out there, get the physical, the mental, spiritual, everything all at once.
It's an answer for troubled youth, correct?
It's an answer for everything.
I like that answer. Excellent. Josh, as an instructor, an important question. How much of Jiu-Jitsu is art? How much of it is science? From yesterday to today, how does it fit in?
I believe it's all art and it's all science. Science is a process, a way of finding what is truth through a process of elimination and skepticism, and I feel like Jiu-Jitsu is definitely that, in the sense that we take what works, call that Jiu-Jitsu, and if it doesn't work, we put it aside. And is it art? Absolutely. It's a movement art. We are all artists in the sense that, as an instructor, I will provide my students with the techniques, and it's up to them to choose from that palette as to what their art and how they move their body. No one will ever move the exact same way, so you can create your own art in that sense.
So I'm going to start out from the closed guard. I'm going to look to try to control both of his wrists. Usually we're always trying to grip fight. He's trying to grab a hold of me, so I'm just going to either grab his wrist or his sleeve here like this. And now my goal is to try to punch his hand in towards his stomach, towards his belly button. As I do that, I'm reaching up to try to grab the back of his head. So I'm gonna unlock my guard as I'm reaching up to grab the back of his head and jump my guard up around his shoulders here and really focus on pinching my knees really tight here. Because lots of guys that are strong and explosive will start to try to move around and try to throw your legs to the side. So right away, I'm gonna pinch my knees tight and look to control his posture by grabbing the back of his head and pulling it down here like this. So now I have a threatened triangle. I have to go to a triangle that's all the way locked. So I'm gonna grab my shin, unlock my triangle, put my foot on his hip, and move my head to the side. So now this lets me lock my triangle really tight, squeeze my knees together, and get this submission. So again, from the starting point, we started in closed guard. I'm trying to control his hands here. Get the back of his neck, push this in towards the stomach, unlock my guard, shoot my triangle here. Now I'm gonna get to my shin, foot on his hip, cut the angle so I'm keeping everything really tight here. Here, keep my toes pointed up and my knees over the front of my ankle here, not my foot. And squeeze everything really tight with my triangle. Cool? 1, 2. You really want it to be like one motion. Open your legs up and push your hand in. Yeah. Now the triangle's threatened, so now you gotta lift your hips up. Boom, pull that arm across, you got it. Now get the angle. You wanna bring your head as far that way as you can. Yep. Squeeze those knees tight. Nice. That was good. Pull that arm across. Here, you want to try to bring him in closer to you too, right? You don't want him too far away. Yeah. So you want to be able to get this over your ankle, right? Push that hand, jump those legs up, control the back of his neck. Here, try to just get to to where your ankles are crossed first, and you want to try to get your hips in nice and close to him because it's where you're gonna start to get the pressure, right? So now with this hand, you want to try to reach and get your shin. Yep, here, and now you can get this foot on the floor, and now you want to bring your head this way as much as you can, just like pretty much like you're going for an arm bar, but now you want to keep this and lock your leg over. Yeah, try to pull this in tighter because you want this part behind here, right?
Hi, I'm Josh Whalen at the Halifax Jiu-Jitsu Society, and you're watching Eastlink Community TV.
Joining me now is Jocelyn Little here at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Society here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. She's a 13-year-old Jiu-Jitsu champion, and we're happy to have her here on our program here. How you doing today, Jocelyn?
Good, how are you?
Great, thank you. Jocelyn, tell me all about your competitions. What's it like to be a competitor at your age in Jiu-Jitsu?
It's very exciting. There's not always people to compete with, but there's a lot of people that I get to meet and be friends with, and it's very, very fun, and I always look forward to it.
Jocelyn, how did you get started in Jiu-Jitsu? How did your journey begin?
Well, my brother started, and I had to watch his classes, and I just wanted to try it. Every time I went in, I wanted to try it more and more and more, and my parents just got fed up with me asking, so they let me try it.
Excellent answer. Now, have you chokehold your brother since then?
Definitely.
Jocelyn, would you tell your friends to get involved in your sport of Jiu-Jitsu?
Probably not, because I like to have an edge, and I like to scare some of my friends.
You like to keep an edge. I like that.
Yes.
What is your favorite part of Jiu-Jitsu outside of the competition?
Probably the coaches and how when you walk in here you feel like you're at home and it's all like a big giant family.
Speaking of family, you're here with your coach, trainer, or mentor. How long have you two been working together?
Since the start, which is when I turned 7.
You've been doing Jiu-Jitsu since you're 7.
Yes.
How many competitions have you won? What's your current ranking and status?
I don't really know. I think, orange and black belt.
Excellent. Going forward, how often do you train in Jiu-Jitsu?
I like to try 6 times a week, but I sometimes don't make it because of hockey.
I see, so you're a very active young lady. What has Jiu-Jitsu done for your life besides the confidence and so forth?
Definitely, I'm a very small person, so it definitely makes me feel good about myself.
What's your next goal in Jiu-Jitsu?
To be the youngest female black belt in Canada.
Outstanding. We wish you the best of luck in your accomplishments.
Thank you.
We'll do double leg shrimps. Here, getting our hips up and out to the side.
Joining us now is Mr. Joel Jacquard, co-owner of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Society here in Halifax, Nova Scotia. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming. This is our gym, Halifax Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're associated with Marcelo Garcia. Welcome. Thanks for coming. We're excited.
Thank you very much. You've been doing Jiu-Jitsu now how long?
I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu for 12 years. I started in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia in 2007. Man, it's been a long time, but when I started, I was doing boxing and kickboxing and wrestling and trying to do MMA and stuff, but eventually I fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu. So 2013, I've been doing purely Jiu-Jitsu.
You've been competing extensively in Jiu-Jitsu as well.
Yes, I compete. Last year, I think I got 13 competitions in just in 2018, and I'm trying to do more this year. We compete in New York, Boston, all over Atlantic Canada. So yeah, we try to keep busy with the competitions.
What's it take to run a school, be a co-owner, teach the art, and compete? How do you prepare for competitions with so many and such a vigorous schedule?
And work a full-time job. We got a lot of help here, man. We got 9 instructors here, and if I have a competition coming up where I got to focus on my training, other teachers are willing to step up and take on more of a teaching role while I'm trying to get in shape to get the intensity up, to get the cardio up, to prepare properly for the big tournaments. So that's it, man. Teamwork. We got an awesome team of instructors that help out here.
You can do it all with a little help from your friends, correct?
That's it, man. That's it. A lot of help. If we didn't have such help, it'd be a lot tougher. And that's when it becomes like, a job. Whereas like now there's so much help. It's easy. It's fun. It's really fun to train and compete and teach. And there's so much support here. And a lot of times I'm competing with my students with me, or my teammates are coming with me. So it's just a good little community, and we all support each other.
Excellent. Good to hear. Not only are you working and dedicating your time full time, but Jiu-Jitsu itself as an art and a sport, would you say it's growing in the province?
Yeah, it's definitely grown in the Atlantic Canadian area for sure, especially in the last few years. There's been some events come here that would stream some events online, and it really exposed the Atlantic Canada to the rest of the world of Jiu-Jitsu. And we got a big community here. There's a lot of gyms, even just in HRM, a lot of gyms in Atlantic Canada, and some really good gyms, some high-level gyms and high-level competitors going out there competing internationally and doing well. So I think we're well represented.
Excellent indeed. Let's look at the fact that Jiu-Jitsu is growing and so forth. What's the favorite part of Jiu-Jitsu for you that's led you to such an extreme?
I think the favorite part is my friends. I always tell the story. At my wedding, I looked around and I was like, wow, man, everybody here's Jiu-Jitsu people. So it really took over my life. All my friends are Jiu-Jitsu guys. I come here twice a day, usually train twice a day during the week, and then on weekends, I'm always here. So the community aspect, the friendships I've got because of the sport, mean the world to me, man. Everything in my life revolves around Jiu-Jitsu now. It's really taken over for the better,
Excellent. Jiu-Jitsu as a sport, we're seeing it grow. Jiu-Jitsu still comes from the martial arts, the Asian world. Speak to it as a self-defense point of view. There's a lot of people out there looking for something for confidence, common sense reality of self-defense. Let's talk to that.
Yeah, I think it's great for self-defense, and you think of self-defense, you think of your average I got attacked on the weekend or whatever. But for law enforcement, especially, I'm in the law enforcement workforce, and Jiu-Jitsu is so important for that because you can handle yourself confidently. And I think if more people did Jiu-Jitsu, there'd be so much more less use of force, or excessive use of force, I should say, because people could carry themselves confidently. You control a situation without using extreme violence. If you're good at Jiu-Jitsu and you can control somebody or get a hold of them, there's a good chance you can control them without hurting them, and control the situation safely and securely, and not, cause any unnecessary damage to somebody when you're just trying to control the situation. And for women and children, if you got a skill that you can potentially defend yourself, you'll just be more confident in everyday life. And me, for example, when I started Jiu-Jitsu, I was 260 pounds, and now I'm 180 pounds in really good shape, and it did that for me as well. At the same time, giving me a life skill that makes me feel confident in everything.
So it's not just self-defense, it's self-defense in many ways with your health, your fitness. It's a forward guard to all of that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You come here and have fun with a great group of people, and you don't even realize how many calories you're burning or how good cardio you're getting. You're just learning a skill, and like you're tired and you work really hard, but you have fun doing it because you're around like-minded people. Like once you start jiu-jitsu, you don't win very much at first, so it can be really tough and people can get down on yourself, but once you get over that, like it's good. It's really fun. Like, and I'm really proud of the community we have here. Everybody comes and has fun. We got a great group of people, and I always tell people we train hard, but we have fun. Hey, I'm Joel Jackard, representing Halifax BJJ and Marcelo Garcia Association, and you're watching Eastlink Community TV.
Let's watch here. So they asked me for one for the highlight reel, so here's what we get. So I actually hit this one a lot in competition. I did this one a couple months ago. But so maybe we're dealing with a guy that's really aggressive. He just stands up in our guard. He's really driving his weight forward. So I always want to unlock my guard on my terms. So as he's standing up, I'm going to unlock my feet. This foot's going to go to his hip, and I'm going to make him take a step back here like this. Now I'm going to put in my De La Hiva hook. So I'm just putting this foot under his hamstring here like this. This is a very good guard to control the person, keep him away from us. I can break grips, but maybe we're dealing with someone that just wants to drive his weight into us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load him up, almost like I'm doing a leg press here, pull him in, and I'm trying to lift his hands up over my head, and I'm going to end up flipping him over the top of me. And the best way that I learned this is when you, the hand motion you do it, is like you're putting on like a big sombrero. So try to picture that, like you're trying to put on a big sombrero and put it on like aggressively. Like, so I get here, put on the sombrero here, so he'll take him right over. And now all I have to do is roll up over my shoulder, just like we did in warm-up here, and I'm gonna end up in full mount here. Now I can just go right for the armbar if I want it. Boom. Take the arm lock, right? So it looks pretty high flying, and it is, but this really works. So here we got the guy in our guard. He stands up here, so I'm unlocking this. My right foot's on his hip, and I want to be in control here. So I'm breaking his grip here. I'm not letting him drive too much weight into me. I can push him back to get him to push in, and as he does that, I'm starting to bring him in with my legs. Here, I don't want him to hold any grips. Lift, put on the sombrero, and just roll up over my shoulder. Here, if I want, I can just hold the position here, just maintain the mount, right? So, some people call this the balloon sweep, or I don't know, I've heard people have like a million different names for lots of different moves, but it's really just like an overhead sweep. So I kind of kick him away just to get the reaction, to get him to push into me, and now put on the sombrero, lift him up here. I kind of have to do that like push with my hands to get him to flip. And Joel's not resisting, he's just going with it, right? He's just rolling over his own shoulder. Because it can be devastating if you just resist super hard and just smash on your face. So just know you're getting swept and just go with it, right?
Make sure you tuck your head like you're doing a forward roll, right?
Yeah.
And then you notice I'm slapping my feet for the break fall. It's my arms in control, but you can do that. It helps break fall.
Let's show one more just for safety's sake. So look, he's standing up, and we'll have to do this in smaller groups. So look, he's just going with it. He's not going to resist. Watch, guys. Here. Just tucking his head, and then I'm rolling up. Nice and easy, like. Cool. Okay, 1, 2. Put on the sombrero. Yeah. Left. You gotta bring your knees to your chest. And now punch the hands down. Yeah, there you go. Like you gotta bring your knees to your chest, and then as soon as his head's over your head, punch his sleeves down to your waist. Yeah. You had it there, you just gotta get a little more leverage. Load him up. Yeah, there you go. Nice. That was good. I feel like I've always been known for kind of like taking the back, kind of getting behind people, always going for the choke, it's kind of been my preferred technique.
submission is the end goal in a jiu-jitsu competition. How do you fare as a submission specialist?
I think I fare pretty well. They always say position before submission, so it's always important with your partner to establish dominance before you actually get the submission, because people can get submissions. It can be kind of a flash in the pan type of thing, but really, like, jiu-jitsu is about like technique and like positional dominance. Like, I want you to basically make you feel like there's no way out and you have to give me this submission.
My wife, she trains a lot now. She does Muay Thai, and then she's been so into fitness a lot because when we met, she wasn't really doing much, and then she saw me doing Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai and kind of got into it. And also friends, just meeting friends around the gym. You develop a good bond when you're rolling with people, for sure.
There's a message here, and the message of positive self-confidence through work ethic. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You definitely learn a lot about yourself in Jiu-Jitsu. And you can teach yourself a lot about hard work, dedication, commitment. I think those are all important lessons that Jiu-Jitsu brings to the table.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has done so much for me. It's allowed me to put myself in extremely uncomfortable situations, whether it's someone sitting on me, putting all their weight on me, feeling that discomfort and knowing the only thing I can do is just breathe and look for a way to pass. So it helps me looking forward versus staying stuck in that one spot.
You were a combat veteran. You were in Afghanistan. Tell us, what was your experiences? Your tour of duty.
I deployed to Afghanistan in 2008 with 2PPCLI, 2nd Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. I drove TLAV, provided security for a road construction project. So it was very hot days, very long days, and always being on your toes, so not being complacent. I think anyone dealing with PTSD or any trauma, I think finding something to express themselves. When I got out of the military, I went to art school, and so art became a really big cathartic tool for me to work through a lot of my experiences. I found Jiu-Jitsu a year ago, and it's pushed me even further in my own recovery. Knowing that I can be put in the worst situations and find my way out of them is incredibly empowering. It's also liberating, and the community here at Halifax BJJ Society is incredibly encouraging and supportive, and I've never felt more supported by a community than I have here in Halifax at Halifax BJJ.
Excellent. Yeah. Speaking of support, direction, and empowerment, Jiu-Jitsu, an answer for troubled women, troubled people, teens. Would you agree? Oh,
definitely. Yeah, I think it's problem solving, and it's extremely uncomfortable, like I keep saying. But it makes you have to look forward to the next move, the next position. So when you get stuck somewhere, which I think when people are anxious or dealing with any mental illness, I think learning how to cope in that situation, and the biggest thing is breathing. And I find Jiu-Jitsu has taught me just as many lessons on the mat as it has taught me off the mat.
I started with Muay Thai, and then my son was competing in Jiu-Jitsu, and I got to see the girls compete during that competition. It was my first time exposed to women in this sport, and I knew, because I have a competitive background, that that's what I wanted to do. I train mainly with men. Now there's more women in this sport, so I always love that. I always encourage, I always ask the guys, when is your girlfriend coming out, or when's your wife coming out, because having more women in this sport is definitely nice. You build a strong relationship with all your teammates, and men definitely are a physical challenge for women, and it makes you stronger for sure. Well, I have 3 children, and 2 of them train. My youngest is 5. She kind of just plays around with it. I find it really helps children build control. You can understand in this sport that you can hurt someone, but you also realize the importance of not hurting someone. The most important thing is to be a good teammate, and the children learn that early on, which really affects them in their future.
Thank you for watching tonight's episode of Evolution, Nova Scotia's martial arts. Join us next week for part 2 of Jiu-Jitsu as we travel to Lance, Nova Scotia for Bulldog Martial Arts.